Some years ago, just before you were born, near a village not too far from Oba, there lived a colony of monkeys. There were so many of them. Big ones, and small ones, not so big ones, and not so small ones. There were males, and female, and tiny babies, still pink, and weak with very little hair on their bodies. The full grown monkeys jumped from tree to tree, branch to branch. The little ones rested on their bellies, or backs, clutching their mothers with small pink hands. They chattered excitedly as their mothers swung through the forest, looking for fruits and grabs and fresh shoots to eat. There were so many of them. All day long, the monkeys busied themselves, swinging up and down, looking for food, racing each other up trees and thin branches. At times they fought and bit each other, quarreling over choice fruits, or resting places from sunrise to sunset. It was the same every day. They hardly rested except at night. Even then two or more remained awake to watch whether any human being or animal might come to attack them. When they saw anything or anybody that seemed to be a danger, they would scream and chatter to warn the others. All the monkeys, even the very small ones, would wake up and take off, up, into the highest parts of the trees, away from where they had been sleeping. But they would come back again the next day, because that area was their raiding ground. Not too far away, in fact less than 10 kilometers from where the monkeys lived their destructive lives, there was a village that suffered very much. In the planting season, the monkeys raided the farms nearby. When harvest came, they raided again, eating fresh maize, ripe bananas, and plantains, pineapples, sugar cane, and groundnuts. They kept the village farmers angry nearly all the year round. For many years, there had always been a kind of time table for the monkeys and people. If the people left the farms, the monkeys would come and eat. If the people came and drove them away, they would run into the nearby bush and up into the trees. There they chatted excitedly as though they were playing hide and seek with the farmers. Throughout the planting season and the harvest. It was always like this. The farmers and their families spend hours daily watching over their crops, while the monkeys waited impatiently for them to go home before night so they could eat before darkness. They feared the night and would not come out from their sleeping places until the sun rose again, and it was bright and sunny. They did more damage to the crops in the morning than at night. This was because they had about 3 hours to feed before the farmers came in the morning. In the evenings, they did less damage, because after waiting so long for the farmers to go, they had usually lost interest and gone somewhere else to look for food. By the time the farmers were ready to go home, the monkeys really no longer needed much food that day. Actually, the monkeys did not fear the farmers, because farmers did not hunt or kill them. They quite enjoyed their game with them. The people they feared were the hunters with their Dane guns. Each time they saw a man with gun, they ran. They really run, for they knew if they waited 1 or more, would all and be carried away by the hunters. They did not like hunters. But for the fear of what the long gun did to them each time it was pointed at them, they would have stayed and fought the hunters regularly. This hatred for hunters with time spread to anyone who held a long stick to threaten them. As they ran, jumped, and swung amongst the branches and tree trunks, their chatter was more serious than the noise made when farmers chased them. Not many people knew this. In the village near where the monkeys lived, one of such people was a young boy, about 13 years old, called Uche. His parents, Ego and Yugo, were both farmers. He had a sister called Amara. She was about years older. He had another brother, who was so young at the time that everybody called him the old man, for fun. One day, when the maize was nearly ready for harvesting, Uche and his sister Ego were sent to the farm to collect some. Their mother wanted to sell this motorists from the township who loved to buy it. Motorists gave some maize to their friends in the big towns as gifts when they returned from tours. They also kept some for themselves. The children were given an old bicycle to use. As the farm was not too near, Uche said he would ride. No, Ego told him, you are not big enough yet, but I can ride, Uche said. Then you want to talk? Ego asked. No, replied Uche. I shall carry you. Carry me, when you are riding monkey style. Ego asked. No Uche, I don't want to fall, she added. You won't fall, Uche shouted, dragging out the bicycle. He begged until Ego agreed to be carried. They both rode away happily. When they got to the farm, the leaves were still wet. This was caused by the dew that had fallen all night. Jumping down smartly, Uche rolled the bicycle to a big tree. There he'd rest against the trunk. Then he heard his sister shouting his name. Uche, yes, he replied. Come quickly, Ego called, come and see what the monkeys have done. Where what? Uche asked as he ran to meet his sister. When he got there, he saw what the monkeys had done. He was very angry. The monkeys had eaten the fresh maize and broken the plants all over the farm. And they were still busy doing the bad work. Amara shouted and clapped his small hands. But the monkeys did not run. Ego also shouted, but they refused to move. It seemed as though they knew that these were children. This made Uche very, very angry. He picked up a small branch and threw it at them. Then he picked up another. Each time he threw a branch, they ran off a little and came back again. This made Uche more annoying, and he looked for bigger branches. The monkeys too were getting angry. They did not ran too far again. They stopped eating and waited. Ego was afraid and she called to Uche, come, let's go home. No, replied Uche. I must drive them away. Uche, let's go and call our parents. Ego called. The monkeys won't go, she told him. I will make them go, said Uche, picking up a very big and long branch. He pointed the branch at them as if he wanted to shoot them. The biggest and oldest became very angry. But he was too busy shooting away with his stick. Shouting, G-bam, G-bam, G-bam. As he shouted, he jumped from side to side. He was very happy now and he was enjoying the game. The monkeys ran this way and that way. They were afraid. Though the small human being held a real gun. The old monkey was not afraid though. He went to hide behind some small plants. He bent down and creeped forward, towards Uche. Uche was still too happy and busy shouting G-bam, G-bam, G-bam. Toc it. But his sister, Ego, saw the big old monkey coming and she shouted. Her warning was too late. The monkey was now very close to Uche. When Uche heard Ego's shout, hr turned. The old monkey jumped the ground and seized its stick. Without thinking, Uche began to struggle with very strong and big. Its eyes were red and its ugly teeth were yellow. It chatted angrily. And kept on jumping up and down. Its claws tore Uche's shorts as they struggled for the stick. As all this was happening, the other monkeys began to come close. Now afraid, Uche left the stick and ran. As soon as he began to run, they all followed him. Ego was crying and very much afraid. She ran to the bicycle. But by the time Amara met her, the monkeys were on them, scratching and biting them, and tearing their clothes with teeth and claws. Amara left the bicycle and drew Uche, and both of them ran towards the road, shouting. The monkeys followed them on the ground, through the branches, chattering wildly and throwing sticks and fruit and anything at them. When they got to the main road, the monkeys turned back, and the children ran on home crying with fear and pain. When they got home, the villagers gathered to hear their story. Everyone was worried as this kind of thing had never happened before. They were afraid that if nothing were done, the monkeys might grow bolder. One day they might even come into their village to fight them, injure their children and destroy homes and other farms. A group of hunters decided to go to the farm to drive off the monkeys. When they got there, the animals had fled, but they had destroyed the farm completely. Even the bicycle had been seriously damaged. The whole area looked as though there had been a bad storm, or battle there. Since they could not go in search of the monkeys at that time, the hunters returned home to tell others what they had seen. The villagers' fear turned to anger and each one thought of different ways to deal with the dangerous monkeys. Meanwhile, Uche and Ego had been washed in their wounds, bites and scratches, treated with herbs by the village medicine man. They were given some food so that they would not think too much about what happened to them in the farm. By evening, the men gathered in the village playground in its center as though a meeting had been called. They sat there in small groups talking about what happened that day. As they talked, they heard someone singing far away. No one really noticed the singer getting closer. But everyone stopped talking when an old man told the singer in a loud voice to keep quiet. The singer was a young man called Michael. He was usually idle and no one took him seriously. He was always drinking palm wine, or local gin. No one knew where he got the money, or the drink from. When the old man spoke, everyone stopped talking. All eyes turned to look at Michael stopped singing. He stood swapping from side to side, and tried to look at the people one by one, but he could not know who had told him to stop singing. So he said, "Well, I shall stop singing. You can go on talking but I won't join you you know why?" "No." One replied. Michael waited for them to talk. He was still swaying unsteadily on his feet. No one spoke. They were all looking at him. Then he asked again, "You know why?" "Because I am more than a monkey. More than many monkeys. You are all sitting there thinking about what to do. Some stupid monkeys. And you expect me, Michael, to join you? Never. HR added. The old man cleared his throat and spoke. "Michael. We all know you." "Yes, why not?" replied Michael, looking for a place to sit. "What can you do? What have you ever done for yourself, your family, and the village?" The old man asked. The whole gathering was quiet and all eyes turned to Michael. Michael too quiet. It seemed as though he was no longer drunk. Then slowly he spoke. "Who told you that? I have lived. Is that not enough? No. Your life is not yours alone. You must help others. Your family and your people." The old man replied. Michael was angry because he could not answer the old man well. Instead he said, "What has all that got to do with the monkeys that have driven you from your farms?" "Only this, young fool," replied the old man angrily. "You are unable to help us, and yourself. You even come now to disturb us in the meeting. We shall find a way to drive the monkeys from our farms." "That's what you will say," replied Michael. "But let me tell you, Michael, I alone can get the monkeys from our farms. And even into your cooking pots." Many people laughed. Feel again. Thus, the water was always fresh though it seemed to lie quite still. The monkeys who hardly slept at night were usually the first time get there in the mornings. Since they moved in large numbers, other animals kept away when they were around. Michael, well hidden, watched the monkeys as they drank, played and splashed water on each other. When they got tired and hungry they took off into the bush, swinging easily from branch to branch, and tree to tree. Michael smiled with satisfaction as he watched them go. Remembering what they had done to young Uche and his sister Amara, he kept himself well hidden until they had all gone. He then came out and began to hurry home. As he went home, he passed people going to farm, and they began to tease him as usual. Some would say, Michael, are you sure you're going the right way?" Others would say, "Michael, did you sleep in the farm? Or, do you only farm when others sleep?" He did not answer them, until one man called out, "Tell me, Michael. Have you finished your meeting with the monkeys?" "Yes," replied Michael. "What did you say?" The man asked. Michael replied. The man did not seem to understand. "Michael," he called, "I ask you again. What did the monkeys say?" "Man," Michael called back, "the monkeys say, I should tell Ben. They all burst into laughter. Michael too laughed, and this made them laugh all the more. And Michael continued on his way home, exchanging words with his kinsmen as they went to work, and he went to rest. When evening came, the villagers gathered again in the village center. Soon their talk turned to Michael. This time they did not wait for him. Young boys were sent out to look for him and he soon showed up. "Michael," the old man called. "Yesterday night you talked a lot about what you could do and what we could not do to the monkeys. This morning, many people saw you coming from our farms. You were happily drunk as usual. Many tappers complained that their gourds were tampered with. I do not say anything about that. But we ask you, Michael, what have you done about the monkeys worrying us?" "Me? What have I done? Did you ask me to do anything?" Michael asked. "Yesterday." The old man began angrily. "You stood there checking your elders and boasting that you could do what all of us put together could not do, remember?" "I remember," Michael replied. "By that alone you took on the responsibility of ridding us of the monkeys." The old man said. "I did not," Michael replied. He continued bitterly, "You are my kind, but for years you have treated me as a tramp and a no good. I just pointed out to you that I am better than all of you, at least in this matter. There he goes again, shouted one man angrily. He should be punished, another added. But what if he can really do something? Uche father asked. What can the layabout do? Another asked. Well, that's the point really, Michael, the old man added. What can you do? I can rid you of the monkeys, Michael replied simple. Then do it, the old man said. So that you can turn round, and call me monkey, catcher instead of tramp. No, replied Michael. Well, what do you want for a fee? The old man asked. We shall pay after the deed, mark you after it. Michael smiled. His eyes twinkled and he could hardly stop himself from dancing. After a while he spoke. I don't want much, only this. After I have driven off the monkeys finally, I want the prettiest girl in the village for a wife. The villagers burst into laughter and clapped each other's shoulders at what they considered a big joke. Michael became angry, and he decided to add more. Hear me, he called, until the laughter died down. Then you shall build a good-sized compound for us. Again laughter and shout went up. Someone called out, more. And Michael replied, yes, I'll ask for more. Just listen, listen. When they had stopped laughing he added, you shall make me a large farm of yams, maize, and plantains. Henceforth, I must always be in the council of the elders. This time the laughter knew no bounds. People rolled around on the ground holding their sides. Tears poured out of weary eyes as they laughed. Michael stood looking at them and shaking his head gently. Any more? Someone finally asked. Somehow, the way he answered made the villagers keep quiet. And you want all these after you have driven the monkeys away? The old man see. Yes, replied Michael. How will we know when you have driven them away? The old man asked. Simple. You know, because you were seeing where they are. Understand that they can't harm our crops and children anymore. Michael said. Fair enough, replied the old man. Then he raised his voice and addressed the gathering. Michael has spoken well. Let us accept his terms. No, one believed, Michael could get rid of the monkeys. So it was not long before they agreed that they would give him all he asked for, after he had carried out his task. Thank you very much, Michael replied loudly. Tomorrow I shall be ready. At first cock, crow, be at the path leading to the farms. There I shall meet you. Come Ben, with a bag and a cutlass each. You shall remember tomorrow all your lives. But lest I forget, I need some honey so, to make my dreams sweet this night. Again the villagers burst into laughter. One finally agreed to give Michael a bottle of honey. Laughter echoed behind them as they walked into the night, and Michael followed the man home. Very early the next morning, earlier than the other morning, Michael woke up. He washed his race only, took his chewing stick, his cutlass and his bag with the bottle of honey inside, and started off for the hiding place where he kept the palm wine and gin. He found the place easily though it was not yet daylight. He collected them and found his way quickly to the pool. As he expected the water was already overflowing. He put down his gourd, bag, cutlass and bottles, and removed some of his clothes. Then he went into the hollow and began to bail the water out. The water was cold. It refreshed him as he worked. For some water splashed on his bare body, head and face. Soon the water was quite low and he was sure it would not overflow again before the monkeys came. He climbed out. He tasted the palm wine and wrinkled his face. It had become sour and strong. He emptied the gourd into the pool. Then he added the contents of the bottles of gin and mixed in the honey. When he had finished he picked up his things and his clothes and went to hide. He cut some twigs and put them in wet hair and placed one across his lips. He believed this would make him invisible. Then he began to wait. Not too long afterwards he heard the monkeys coming. It was just getting to be daylight, but he could not see them again. He tried hard but he could hear nothing. Suddenly Michael saw a big old monkey near the pool. The monkey looked around the bush surrounding the pool as though searching for somebody, or something. After some time he moved around the pool, sniffed here and there. Suddenly he darted back into the bush and all was quiet again. For a long time nothing happened. Michael began to sweat. He thought the monkeys would not come to drink that morning. He feared that the smell of the sour palm wine might drive them away. He prayed hard for them to come, When he had almost given up hope, the old monkey appeared again. The monkey knew the palm wine and was only taking care, since the pool had never contained palm wine before. This time the old monkey came from another side the pool. Again he listened, washed and sniffed carefully around the pool. Satisfied at last that whatever had visited the pool had left, he came close and tasted that water. He gave an excited call and all the other monkeys rushed out to the pool. They all began to drink and chatter as usual. Soon, Michael noticed that the alcohol was taking effect, and because of the sweetness of the honey, they did not suspect that there was anything else in the water, apart from palm wine. When Michael knew that the monkeys were getting drunk, he crept carefully out of his hiding place and ran to the edge of the farmland. There he found some of the villagers. Ben, he whispered to them, very excited. Send for more people. Follow me to the pool. What is all this? The men said, Is this more of your joking? But they sent some people home and the others followed him. When they got to the pool, they were surprised. The monkeys were all there. They were rolling around drunkenly and chatting. Even when they saw the men, they did not run or fight. They just kept on enjoying themselves. They dragged each other, jumped on each other, and kept pulling at each other's tails, and they all seemed to be very happy. None paid any attention to the men. They, said Michael, very pleased. There are your monkeys. If you don't want to see them again, take them. Take them home. If the big ones scratch or bite, kill them. You can eat them later. Take the small ones and keep them as pets. Let them grow and eat them afterwards. They are yours. At first the men were too surprised to move. But when they finally realized that the monkeys were not even afraid of them, or ready to run, they started to catch them. Even then, the monkeys did not run. Instead they playing with the men, dragging them, as though they had been playing with each other. Soon group of you came from the village, and joined in. Everyone was happy. Even the monkeys seemed happy too. Michael did nothing until he saw two young pink monkeys. He took them and later gave them to Uche and Amara. That evening there was a lot of merry making in the village, as they knew that the monkeys would worry them no more. Once again the men were gathered in the village center. At first no one remembered Michael that night. Each told of how he caught his monkeys and how many he had taken. Meanwhile, Michael stood quietly outside the glow of the light and listened. When the stories had gone on for some time, he stepped forward and asked the old man for a drink. When the people saw who it was, a shout went up. Michael, 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 they called, hailing him. Everyone turned to Michael, and he began to move away. Come, come, called the old man. We are all proud of you. Come, Michael. Whatever you want, we shall now give it to you. Yes, yes, cried the villagers happily. Tell us again, what do you really want? How did you do it? They all asked. But Michael could not say anything. Everyone was looking at him, and praising him. He felt very shy. Ben, he said. Let me tell you tomorrow. Perhaps you will have changed your mind about giving me anything. He walked away into the night without taking any drink. The villagers, however, kept their promise. They gave Michael a beautiful young wife, built him a house, made a farm for him, and made him a member of the council of elders. So Michael proved to the villagers that no people are totally bad. Each man has his own use, if only he can find it. Once upon a time, there was famine in the land where the tortoise lived, with other animals, for months, and there was little or no food to eat. Everyone was hungry. They all became thin, their bones showed under their skins. No one was strong anymore. No one was happy. The children cried all day and night for food. The fathers and mothers could not do anything. They just watched as their children cried because of hunger. The land was all dry. There was no rain. All the trees and bushes had dried up. There were no berries, no fruit, not even leaves. The birds too could not longer sing, or fly. It was a bad time for all, except one huge animal called Gefferenden. No one knew what the animal looked like because it was a terrible creature that walked only at night, when everywhere was dark. It would come out roaring, looking for smaller animals to catch and eat, because many other animals came out in the night to look for anything they could find to eat. Gefferenden used to catch some. He also had a big farm with yams, plantains and all kinds of food. But no one could go there. They were all afraid of the terrible Geferenden. He had no friend. He talked to no one. Anyone he saw, he killed and ate. When the tortoise saw that his children were about to die of hunger, he was not happy at all. The tortoise began to think seriously of how to get food for them. After 1.5 days he thought of a plan. He dressed up and went out to visit the terrible animal called Geferenden. When he got there, the animal was sleeping. The tortoise knocked on the door, but there was no answer. He knocked a third time. This time Geferenden woke up angrily. He asked in a loud voice, "Who is there? Do you want to break down my door?" "Only me, tortoise," said the tortoise in a small voice. "Well, what do you want? Won't you let me sleep? If I catch you, I shall eat you, shell and all," roared Geferenden. "Oh no, please," begged the tortoise. "Don't eat me. Don't please. If you eat, who would care for my children? I could eat them also," cried Geferenden. "Please," begged the tortoise, "let me tell you why I came." "All right. I said let you speak to me only this once. If you come again, I shall eat you. Without even cooking you. So saving Geferenden opened his huge door and stood there looking down at the small tortoise. "Please don't be angry with me," begged the tortoise. "Enough of that," shouted Geferenden. "What do you want? I have to go back to sleep. I sleep all day, and hunt by night. Please Geferenden, my children are dying of hunger." Began the tortoise. "Can you lend me 1 yam? Some food?" asked the tortoise. "Yes," replied the goat weakly. "Very well," said the tortoise, "if you want some of this yam, you must do 2 things." "What are they?" asked the goat. "Nothing much," replied the tortoise. "First you must carry this yam to my house and help me cook it." "Easy," said the goat. "And the next?" "At night, when someone knocks on my door, you must open the door." "Who is coming?" asked the goat. "The one who gave me this yam," said the tortoise. "Who is he?" asked the goat. "Do you think I am foolish enough to tell you?" the tortoise asked. "No, no," said the goat quickly. He was afraid the tortoise would be angry with him. Then he would not give him any yam after all. "I shall do what you say," added the goat. "Fine," said the tortoise. "Come and carry the yam." So the goat carried the yam and the tortoise followed him. They hurried home to the house of the tortoise. When the hungry children saw them, they were too weak to laugh. They just stopped crying and waited until the yam was cooked. They all gathered around and ate. It was not enough for all. But they were not as hungry as before. They had stopped crying. The tortoise told them there was more to come, and so they slept. The tortoise asked the goat to sleep near the door. "If you want to eat more yam, tomorrow," he told the goat, "make sure you open the door as soon as he knocks. If he asks you any question, just say I do not know." "Certainly," said the goat. Then they went to sleep. Late in the night, Geferenden came. He knocked on the door. Nothing happened. The goat was fast asleep. Geferenden knocked again. Still no one opened. The tortoise heard and went to the goat. "Open," he whispered after walking the goat quietly. Geferenden knocked again, angrily this time. The goat, now awake, quickly opened the door. "Why did you not open before?" Geferenden asked. "I don't know," replied the goat. Oh, Geferenden was angry. "Where's my pay?" he asked. Geferenden was so angry. He raised one hand and knocked the goat on the head. Its head split into 2. He turned around and walked away, saying to himself, "Idiot, he thinks he can play with me like that." The next morning Tortoise and his family cooked the goat, ate the meat for 2 days. On the 3rd day, the tortoise went back to Geferenden. "What? You?" cried big Geferenden when he saw the tortoise. "You mean you did not die?" "Well," said the tortoise, smiling, "you can see that. Now what do you want?" asked Geferenden. "Yams," said the tortoise. "Yams?" asked Geferenden. "Yes," replied the tortoise. "2 this time. If I don't pay, you can do what you did last time." "Ah!" cried Geferenden, "now you think you are very strong." "Well," said the tortoise, smiling. "All right, I agree," replied Geferenden. He went and brought 2 yams. Without a word, he banged the door and went back to sleep. The tortoise carried the yams and began to struggle home. On his way, the cow saw him. The tortoise invited the hungry cow. He told the cow what he had told the goat. The cow agreed. So they went home and ate the yams. When it was night, Gefrenden came. The cow did not open the door in time. Gefrenden was very angry. When the cow finally opened the door, Gefrenden did not say a word. He just gave her a heavy knock on the head. The cow's head split into two. The next morning, the tortoise and his children began to eat the meat. After 1 week, the tortoise went back to Gefrenden. Not you again, he cried when he saw the tortoise. I am here, said the tortoise, smiling. Gefrenden asked. Well, I'm not that soft and easy, said the tortoise. Again the tortoise borrowed yams. He made the same arrangement to pay. On his way home, the tortoise invited another animal. In the night, Gefrenden came and killed that animal. The next day, Tortoise and his family began to feast again. This went on, over and again. The tortoise and his family got well and happy again. The famine was still not over. So the tortoise continued to borrow food from Gefrenden, who killed the animals they invited. Soon the animals were almost finished. Each time the tortoise got food from he would spend almost a whole day, looking for an animal to deceive and take home. One day, after they got food from big ugly Gefrenden, he searched the whole area for another animal. He could find none. He and his family had eaten nearly all of them. The others had come to know that any animal that followed the tortoise never came back. When they saw him coming, they would run and hide. This day he got home without finding any animal. He was very worried. After putting away the food, he went out again. He searched everywhere. He could find no one, not even a mouse. It was almost dark when he saw a small animal, with large eyes up on a branch of a high tree. The animal was called a garagare. Hey, a garagare, called the tortoise, what are you doing there so hungry? The animal did not reply. He just turned his big eyes. He looked at the tortoise for a long time. Then he turned his large eyes away. I agree, said a garagare, but I am very weak. I cannot walk to your house. You will have to carry me. The tortoise did not like this. But he had to have someone to open the door for Gefrenden at night, so he had no choice. Come on my shell, he said to a garagare. Let us hurry. It is almost night. The small animal with big eyes got on the tortoise. When they got home, the animal asked the tortoise to put on the best chair. He said he would not help to cook, because he was very weak, so the tortoise and his family cooked. And when the food was ready, they all ate it. The tortoise then told a garagare to sleep by the door. He asked him to remember to wake up and open the door. If he asks you anything, just say, I don't know, said the tortoise. Why? Asked a garagare. Do as I say, said the tortoise, tomorrow, we shall have more food. As you say, said the small animal. The tortoise then left him, went to sleep. As soon as the family had slept, a garagare dug a hole from the floor to the outside and went back to his home. Late in the night, Gefrenden came. He knocked. No one answered. He knocked again. No answer. He banged on the door until the tortoise woke up. Softly the tortoise called a garagare, open the door. There was no reply. Gefrenden banged on the door and shouted, Tortoise, open, or shall break this door. The tortoise did not answer. He was busy looking for a garagare. Gefrenden continued to knock. The tortoise soon the hole. When he knew a garagare had run away, he answered Gefrenden. Open at once, roared big ugly Gefrenden. I'm coming, said the tortoise. Quickly the tortoise carried pots and mortars to cover his shell. He then crawled to the door. Slowly he opened it. Gefrenden was so angry, he raised his hand and knocked the tortoise, pots, mortars and all. Everything split into two. Gefrenden did not wait. He thinks he can joke with me. I'll see whether he can live through that. But the tortoise did. One side fell into the water, and one remained on land. That is why today you have the land and water tortoises. And that's how the clever tortoise finally met his match. Sometimes, being smart is not enough, you must also be honest. Tortoise learned that the hard way. And as for way, he showed us that patience and wisdom will always win in the end. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing village tale. Until next time, stay wise, stay kind, and keep learning. Bye for now.